All right, and we have another Netrunner game here. On the left, it is me playing Jinteki Personal Evolution.
And me on the right playing Kate.
Very nice, very nice. I'm surprised you're not running Andy this time.
I'm surprised I'm not running Andy either.
It's probably a good idea, though. Right?
Andy has let me down in the last couple of tournaments.
Right.
So my win ratio with her just went, it plummeted.
And you're in a really good spot right now when you play Kate versus kind of matchup because you've got Deus Ex. You might have some clone chip.
Yeah, it might.
Yeah, I mean, you got some Deus Ex recursion. So, like, the damage that normally would kill you, you can probably actually prevent.
Yes.
There's a few tricks that I've got in there. This actually is a deck made popular by Chris. I think it's Chris Hinks. He was a guy that won the Portland regionals.
I want to say so as well.
I think he actually won with like maybe a kit deck. I want to say and a personal evolution deck.
Yeah.
Basically, this is pretty much a carbon copy. I think the one change I made is that I removed diversified portfolio and placed in the Shikyu back in the deck.
Right.
I will say that there was a card I didn't find a fan of, and we'll get to that point later.
Yeah.
So your hand was good. I think you had like a legwork.
Legwork, same old thing. Diesel, scavenge, and prepaid voice pad.
Good. I not thinking or not knowing whether or not you were running account siphon, decided that I'd keep my opening hand because I was a cerebral overrider. So because I actually know that there's that you have parasite or you have Deus Ex recursion, I wanted to hold that cerebral overrider in hopes that give you some brain. We'll see how that turns out here.
You would like to give
me
some brain, wouldn't you?
You know what? That's off recording hours. We're gonna keep that.
Yeah. Brain damage is always bad. So I don't know what you're talking about. So you ice up. Yeah, I have legwork in my hand, and you don't ice it up. That sounds great.
Right.
It sounds great to me.
Well, sometimes it's risky. I mean, especially opening. If I leave my HQ open, usually the assumption is, oh, he's got threats. So if I legwork in there, I could die right here.
So I diesel, which kind of pads me.
Right.
I diesel, and I throw down the prepaid to help pay for legwork. Even though, I'm paying 2 for each, basically, or no, I'm paying two for one and 1 for the other. Get it out early, and I didn't want to lose prepaid in the net damage if I scored or anything like that.
Exactly.
So this is me contemplating, man, do I really want to pull a legwork this early in the game versus personal evolution? My experience saying, yeah, I want to get rid of, I want to score or get rid of as much as I can before you lay it on the board and just, mess with my mind with tricks.
Right, and that makes sense.
So there it is. Yeah, do legwork, see 3 cards out of 4. Not bad. Mushin, that's to be expected.
Right.
Scorch Earth, though.
Right, very early.
I did not see my...
It's kind of the worst card to give information about, right? Because, if you see a Scorch Earth, now you're not even safe trying to run and take the tag from like an account siphon or from the snare even. When you see the Scorch, you immediately stop and, determine that it's not worth it to...
Yep. So I score Fetal, and you take the 3 cards out of my hand that I wanted. Katie Jones, Deus Ex...
And Lucky Find.
Like
wow.
the 3 cards,
wow.
I do not need you getting rid of.
Now, there's something to be said about that. That's kind of the work of Jinteki there, because it is, I'm removing critical cards from you that help you advance your gameplay. It's not just a matter of draining your credits from the run, like most other decks and things like that.
Yeah.
So right here, I think, what I'm looking to do is I want to put something in front of HQ and R&D so I can get maybe a turn or 2.
Right.
But also the goal here is to try to set up a trap, consider scoring an agenda. So I motion this card. And the truth is that sometimes you kind of just have to be risky. You kind of just have to say, all right, I'm going to throw something out. I'm not sure what it is. Do you know what it is? And just go with it.
Right.
Now, the one thing I could not have predicted, or one thing I should have thought about, and this is going to be a lesson here to all Jinteki players. So you have to understand that if the runner feels like they actually cannot take the hit because they're not ready, they're not going to make the runs required to absorb that damage. So that was actually a huge misplay by me. I should have waited until he already had the cards in hand and he felt safe in running.
Yes. So
that is a Ronin.
I run on a double advanced Ronin. I decided to trash it because, well, I don't need you advancing it and triggering it next turn.
Right.
If I see it in hand, though, that might be a different story. You have some time to deal with it. But what do? You advance and you install advanced events again. Great.
Now, I think, is where another blunder comes in. I think that card right there is an additional Cerebral Overrider. So right now, the problem is I've got 2 of these on the board, but your play's made it pretty clear, at least from how you've been actually playing the game. Your play's kind of made it clear that you're pecking. You're not a super aggressive runner. You're poking around when you feel it's safe. Right. So the best thing I could have done there is just be cautious and just wait and then play something like an agenda advance it twice and just wait a minute.
Yeah. So I check archives just to make sure there's no CQs or anything in there and pull a dirty laundry and locate. Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. Versus this, I've noticed that this deck, you don't need a lot of money. You don't need. You're not. It's not red coats. You're not trying to get in over and over and pay.
No, you have to kind of just have enough money here,
right,
to be able to use the traps. That's really all that matters. Especially since you're primarily going with a flat line. There was one game where I did win from agendas, but that's a whole different story. Most of the games I won throughout the day were because of flat line.
Right. Runner side, you need to make sure you've got. You need to make sure you have at least 2 for fetal.
Yes, it's really one of the worst things that can happen where you take the net damage and you can't steal the card.
Oh, I know. But that's okay. Padding up your hand. One of the big dangers I've learned about playing against this deck is pretty much that you want to pad up your hand just like you normally would against this ID, but you don't want to do it too quickly. And you especially don't want to start doing it so much that when you're digging, that you're not able to, that you're throwing away cards yourself, and they're not getting trashed by the court, because you can find yourself digging way too deep, and now you don't have any more pad. It's gone. You're about to die.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. That is so true.
So Jackson Howard.
Yes, the Jackson's there.
What are you looking for?
In retrospect, I probably should have tried to look for a hand similar to what I had in my last encounter with the Shaper, which was I wanted cards like House of Knives out early or Gila hands, so that I could try to score those, get my early game economy running, or at least get the threat of the net damage a serious issue, make it a serious issue. Unfortunately, through the little bit of draws that I was able to get to, I wasn't able to locate those kinds of things that would help. Instead, I ended up hitting things like like my 5-2s, 5-3s.
Right.
Having Cerebral Overrider early is pretty decent if they're a runner that will actually run on it.
Right. Very right. So, Sure Gamble. Oh, no, first install a prepaid voice pad. Sure Gamble. Using the 2 prepaid voice pads with the 3 credits that I had works out just fine. And then run Jackson.
I just realized, look at how fast I shuffle. Isn't that awesome? Sorry, I just realized how fast I do that. That's crazy.
It's not bad. It's not bad. No delay game for you.
No, man. You only get like 65 minutes. You got to make the most of it.
I mean, in that day in particular, all kinds of timed wins, losses, and just overruns all day long.
So you got a pretty good setup when you're in, though. You've got 2 prepaid voice pads out. Katie's making some cash. Your existing credits right now is good.
Yep. Deus Ex is in the trash, but Clone Chip's there.
Right. So you're pretty safe. You could probably just make a run, face check something, and kind of hope that nothing bad happens. I've got money to res anything. Mm-hmm. But you really don't have to be. I mean, you already had 2. You really don't have to be outgoing right now. You can kind of sit back.
I think I'm looking for my Sentry Breaker pretty much. I played Quality Time, and this serves dual purposes. I'm looking for the Sentry, and padding's not bad either. So guess what? Now that I've gotten that extra padding, I don't want to chuck those cards because I've loaded Katie or something like that, or gain money instead of making a run. Let's make a run. Let's go ahead and check the ice out. You've got extra cards to deal with. I would rather you trash them than me throw them away purposely. Right. But before I do that, I need to install Atman. There's only one Atman in my deck, and I'm fairly certain that most Jinteki ice is 0. So put the Atman out for 0, pretty much, and then you run into a Yagura, which is strength 0.
It's amazing that they created a card like this that is so cheap and it works so well with just the way Jinteki plays. Mm-hmm. You face check that, you do it, you take a tiny little bit amount of damage, but looking at R&D and determining if you want to keep that card there is critical.
Right.
I can't count how many times I've looked at a card at the top of the deck and said I'll keep it, and immediately the runner goes, I jack out. I'm not going to access.
Yeah. Okay.
It's because and the thing is, it's another one of the it's one of those weird Jinteki mind games. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something that's consistent enough to bank gameplay on.
Yeah.
But it happens.
In this case,
Actually, I think
you
that
kept
happened
it there.
here, didn't it?
Yeah, you kept it there, but I'm not running R&D.
R&D,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I don't think I plan to. So I run in here, and what do I see? A Ronin, but I leave it there. I want to say,
Right.
I leave it there.
Yes.
Only because, I mean, I've got the money to trash it, and I've got money stacked up on Katie, but in all honesty, I guess it's worth it for you to waste the time to try to install it, and me, maybe or maybe not run on it.
I think I would trash the Ronin.
Future Perfect.
Oh, I think. Oh, yeah. The Future Perfect comes out.
Yeah, I think what happens later is pretty much that I go back and I trash it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it gives me options to bluff with, and I think the less options Jinteki has to bluff with, the easier that game is.
Yeah. So, Future Perfect, I have a horrible record with this card. This particular instance, I chose not to go randomly. And you take it back. I paid 1, I think you paid 2.
Right.
Any reason why you paid 2?
I guessed. I picked a random number.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think that might actually be the best way to do it. I mean, if they're going to pick 0, I mean, you kind of just have to use common sense. Like, I know when people read BGG forums or SimHack forums, there's people saying, well, if they're always going to bet a random number, I'll just always bet 0 and win every time. And it's kind of like, well, if I see you betting 0 all the time, why would I be dumb enough to actually bet 2? Why don't I just always bet 1?
Right.
And basically, you can always counter the common sense answer with more common sense, I think. It really, if effectively the argument comes down to people acting like they're 12. Pretty much what it comes down to, in my opinion, is that you just have a 1 in 3 chance to get the card.
Yeah.
When you see it.
Yeah.
And if I just randomly choose an arbitrary number, you don't know what that number is, and how are you going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Basically, I got really tired of losing in the betting game whether it's Caprice or whatever. So I started rolling a dice underneath the table, and that helps sometimes. At the very least, if it doesn't help, I mean, it's not really for helping. It's for kind of taking that thought that, man, I should have done this. Well, you know what? It was random. So
that's true.
You're not gonna lose some sleep about it later.
So you hit a Parasite in the Yagura, and then you decided you'd access.
Yes.
Now
in the Ronin, and this is where I trash it. I'm not gonna mess around this time. Get rid of it. Yeah. And then Parasite of the Yagura coming in, only because I just don't want to deal with having to pay extra. I'll just get rid of it. Done. And
now this actually, this is probably the worst thing that could have happened, because the moment you see the Future Perfect is back in my hand again, the assumption's probably now there that, okay, well, the card he's installed is probably not in the agenda.
And there it
is.
I 0.
Yeah.
You have plenty of money. I think I just kind of I don't think it was any more of a reading kind of thing, but more so just let's take a shot. I'll bet 0.
Right.
I had plenty of money to lose, but then I guess maybe the thought was we both have plenty of money. The initial thought is I'm gonna bet 2 because I can lose the money.
Exactly.
Well, screw it. 0. Let's go 0, and it paid off. It's not any particular strategy. It just happened to work that way.
Mm-hmm.
Pad up my hand after that, and good to go.
I think the problem with Jinteki decks is that the problem playing against him is a lot of people aren't sure how. There's a lot of really neat things you can do with Jinteki decks. For example, like in this scenario right here that we're looking at, where I have these cards down and advanced, right? Mm-hmm. If those were agendas that you weren't touching, and you ever took a snare and then had 1 card left or something, that means I could actually score both those agendas and I win. Even if I didn't win on points, I'd win from a flat line. Things like little tiny plays like that, which are uncommon, are things that happen because you're not, just based on how runners read things.
Right.
A lot of times you'll assume, well, he advanced that over there. Oh, you're not scoring it. Got to be a trap that failed.
Well, maybe.
Right.
Or it's that Philotic that's going to kill you at the end of the game.
Exactly.
You never know. But at this point, I think it's safe to assume that I've got 5 points. Yeah.
At this point, you can probably go all out and just try to. It'd be pretty hard, I think, for you to take enough damage at this point where you couldn't, where you would end up winning.
Right.
You can almost accidentally win here.
I've got 5 points. If you did not take this turn to score either of those 2, it's not Philotic. They're just not. But I mean, so would you score the Philotic here? Well, no. I mean, obviously you score the Philotic here if it was one to kind of get yourself on the board. And it's not bad that I have to lose my whole hand anyway, even if I don't die.
Right.
But you go for the motion. I decided not to mess with that and go in R&D. And I see a Psychic Field. But what's that ice in front of R&D?
I think that's actually an Eli.
An Eli. So why? Well, you have the credits. There's the other Fetal for the win.
Fetal.
And we played, coincidentally, the last time Hollis and I played in a tournament play, it was pretty neck to neck, and I learned my lesson that game because I didn't have enough money to steal it, and I died from not stealing it. Had I stolen it, I would have won, and this time I guess I made damn sure that wasn't going to happen. Not that I intended to run into another Fetal in R&D, but you take what you can get pretty much.
Yeah, I think that I definitely think that the same way how NAPD has changed how a lot of runners run, it's also changed a bit how I think you have to have that same mindset when you play against Jinteki.
Right.
The factors are different there for stealing things.
Right.
If there's a card you really want, you should probably play it first, try to score it afterward. So on and so forth.
And it's nuts. I think you were saying here basically that I made lucky pulls every time. I saw what I needed to see.
It wasn't lucky pulls from like HQ or R&D because those were actually very skilled runs. It was the installs. It was, and I mentioned before how the blunder I made was basically assuming that you would just be hardcore aggressive on everything. Instead, I should have noticed that every run you were making was a calculated run based on hand risk. So you made a run, you scored an agenda, you went down 3 cards. So you were not going to on the next turn after only drawing, I think, only 1 card up or 2 cards up.
Yeah.
You were not going to immediately run again. I should have waited 1 turn and then installed something double advanced it.
Right.
Because then you would have had a full hand, and that's when something like a Cerebral Overrider could have actually hit.
Yeah, definitely.
Versus Kate decks, that's a common thing that you're going to want to try to get off before anything else, is you want to try to get the Cerebral Overrider to trigger.
Yeah.
Because you can't normally kill Kate with just net because of her Deus Ex recursion.
Right.
But you can definitely do some work when they have brain damage already taken.
I will say that game against that deck, best case scenario, best case in my worst possible situation probably because you had gotten rid of some crucial cards early on, including Deus Ex. I didn't need it. I never had to use it, and
right.
And basically, I saw what I needed when I needed to see it. I only faulted once, not stealing the Future Perfect.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, it's good strikes, good times, making sure that you have all your bases covered, and that's how you play against Jinteki.
Yep. You have to just be careful, make calculated runs that are surgical.
Yeah. Chaos Theory, side story. Position in this tournament at the time. This is 4th round. Hollis, you had been. What was your record up to this point?
I had all wins, 1 tie, 1 loss from our previous game.
Gotcha. And then so I mean you're pretty much set to win the whole thing by now. Me, however, I was amongst a large tie for second with 8 points going into this, and pretty much. The fact that I won the first game, I was feeling pretty good. No matter what had happened with anybody else, I got at least 1 good win in against top seed for everybody. So that's putting me up to the level where I can at least get an alt-art card.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely good placing because at that point, if everyone splits, if you win these 2 here, you basically either get first or second. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's really no way. There's no way you don't place here versus everyone in the tournament.
Yeah. So I was feeling pretty good. It was a good feeling. I mean, it's always fun playing against you, and you're one of the. I would say it's one of the most challenging people to play against, and not the fact that I beat you, but more so just it was. Things went smoothly, and when you play Netrunner, things don't go that smoothly always.
They don't.
You can't plan for that kind of thing. You just play the best of your ability with what you got, And
Yeah,
more
pretty
so, I think I was in a happy mood just because it was not because I beat you, but because things went so well.
Yeah, I mean that's an important part of the game is making sure you stay positive and don't go on tilt.
Right.
And also thank you very much. I'm very flattered that of your kind words. Thank you.
Install, gain a credit, no hedge fund. Gosh darn, man, what am I gonna do? I need those extra credits.
Right. So I think I opened up here with a sure gamble into a run.
Yeah.
Solid ice res there. I decided to go ahead and try to hit HQ.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm surprised they haven't made Alt Art Chaos Theory yet. I guess they'll come back to that after the main IDs.
Well, I mean, she's part of the creation and control expansion, so it might be.
No, she's a steady and static, right?
Oh, maybe. Yeah. You know what? You're right. I've seen some discussion about it. Who knows? They might follow the order because Wayland's coming up next,
right?
And after that, we're done with the core set IDs. So who knows really what's coming next?
Right? Yeah, it could be.
They might. Who knows? We'll see. I'm excited. There's a lot of good stuff coming up in that Rona world coming up now. State of the game now is Corps are dominating pretty well.
They're doing good. Corps definitely have an advantage here. Speaking of advantage, that's a guard.
That's a guard.
No inside jobs coming in there.
Yeah.
No sir.
This deck had a bunch of rototurrets just because our meta had just parasite everywhere. Rototurret wasn't worth the 4 investment.
I can see that. It's really, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a really good card if you plan on it's a good card if you plan on trying to like destroy a program early game.
Right. I mean, shapers, clone chips, and parasites running everywhere. It doesn't even get the kill off. Right. So I either top deck or it's in my hand. Score domestic sleepers. Pretty essential to winning with this ID.
So I did a modded to install of the FIM.
Mm-hmm.
I put the counter on the next bronze. Then I said indexing.
Yes.
Trying my best to score some early games agendas because they're so critical. So
how do you feel about femming a next piece of ice? If you're me in this situation,
if I was sitting where you are right now,
you don't delete it, right? I mean, maybe.
I don't.
At the very best, at the very worst, it's still helping your other ice.
Right. I would not delete it. I would absolutely leave it there. And not to mention...
Whoa.
Yeah. So there, I looked at 2 agendas and I said, all right, last 2 actions, I'll go ahead and I'll run there and grab the 2.
Mm-hmm. Ugh. I mean, you're still paying 2, but I mean...
I think, and I heard someone say this in Twitch when we were watching games being streamed, I would rather be account siphoned than indexed.
Yeah.
Any day. I mean, it's... Most of the time, if they're running an indexing, they know they're getting right back in. So you can almost guarantee they're scoring points. If they see something, they're scoring it. Like
yeah. It's. I mean, so in this situation, I guess being indexed is worse. So, would you rather keep me from not scoring the agendas that I have, or make sure that I don't get them before I actually get them?
Yeah. You got to. I mean, especially when versus a fast events deck, you have to go. You have to go get them before they can score.
Curious, do you have account siphon in this deck?
I do. I think actually I use one.
Possibly, maybe. No spoilers. Gosh.
So I quality time here. I draw 5 cards to start ramping it up.
Quality time. You like quality time?
I love it.
Really?
I do. I mean, now I'm playing a Chaos Theory deck, so my deck size is already 40. So I've got almost the same likelihood of seeing some cards like Andromeda does it with opening head of 9.
Ugh.
And then because of cards like modded, even when I overdraw like that, modded is basically a 2 card. It's a card combo.
Right. So you're putting out. Well, in this case, you're putting out a Magnum Opus. That's fantastic.
Yep. So the economy's there. The FIM is there. So I feel pretty here at this part of the game. I feel pretty safe. I know that. Yeah, I know that pretty much it's just a matter of getting the other breakers out.
Yeah. So what? You're not going to need that levy?
I run same old thing, I think.
Right.
And so if I need to recycle it, I can.
Yeah, it's dead weight in your hand at the moment, right?
Right.
And so you run over there, and you're pretty confident that it is in Sansan. Wait, no. Oh, that's me. I'm rezzing Sansan. Yes. Yay!
This was good because I mean, if you hadn't have taken it, I probably would have gotten a score.
Exactly. Go get it now. Go get it.
I also think that that's part of the reason why I didn't go for it. I knew that I needed to keep you broke to try to do a few other things.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it was a smart play to score that for sure. I mean, you got to get those points.
Right. And an ABT. Oh, so this is the ABT that I think could have changed the game. You saw what the next 3 cards were going to be with the indexing, and I think I ask you here. I've had some terrible luck with ABT, and when you don't have Jackson and you don't have a piece of ice in front of it, even though I've only seen 3 pieces of ice and installed all of them, I'm still just not. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Well, so no, he's gonna see the 3 cards here, and I think what's funny is you might be able to hear in the audio. He's like, I playfully ask him if it's a good idea if I should have triggered it, and he's like, it wouldn't have been bad.
Yeah. I think I saw like maybe there was a piece of ice there, but none of them were. I don't think any of them were like significant. I don't believe. In fact, I think you would have ended up trashing a Biotic Labor as a part of that. A Biotic Labor and a Sand, I think, were also in there maybe.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, it was a chance that you were going to hit really good cards.
Yeah.
And they were going to get trashed, but no agendas.
Not
a single agenda in that whole stack.
So the bad thing about my position at the moment is, so you're getting free accesses, not free. You're getting really cheap accesses in the R&D.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're fairly certain that there's not too much in my hand anymore, and that in order for me to start protecting, I need to install it and have enough to res it. So, I've got 3 credits left. I'm going down to 0 for protection.
Yep.
That I'm not scoring. I'm not moving very fast. So that's breaking me down pretty well.
Yeah. Pretty solid currently.
Yeah. And let's see. Did you take that NAPD? Because you did pull it.
Did. So you scored a Vitruvius.
I'm not doing too bad after all.
No, you're actually in a really good spot right now. Now, at this point, though, I'm kind of thinking that you don't have any more agendas in hand. And I think the reason why I think that is because I saw the NAPD, I know the next 5 cards, and you just scored another 3, or another 2. So, and I know there's a fast track there as well.
Oh, right.
Because it's on the fast track. So, in my head, I'm going, all right, well, that's 3 out of 5 accounted for.
Right, but I don't have the money to buy a labor or anything to score 3-2.
Nope.
So, yeah.
So, I know that here, when you have no credits, I think that right now this may be where I get hungry and try to go for the Sand. And I believe I do.
I mean, you have to. You have to. Yeah. This is it's res. I've already scored 2 agendas off of it. Man, scoring 1 off of a Sand is bad enough.
Yeah.
Scoring 2, go get it. Go get it. If Sand survives this turn, honestly, thinking back on it now, I don't know why I didn't just go score sleepers. It's not scoring me points, but it might be able to help me in the late game a little bit.
Might be, yeah. I think so. Notice how I left it also.
Oh, right. Fast track.
Yeah.
Oh, so it is my turn. I kind of wish I did that. But I think I'm more worried about protecting what he's already seen in my HQ. And, I mean, R&D's bad. This is bad times.
Right.
But then again, you already know what's in there for the next couple of cards still, I believe. Maybe 1, 2.
Well, I scored. Yeah, I think the last card on top is the. Yep, and then you get exactly to 5, and there's the account siphon.
Yeah, so I thought about putting it on an HQ, but oh well.
The last card on top, I believe, is the one I haven't seen. I think.
Okay.
So I may have not been counting correctly, but I don't. I think I've already seen that one, so I don't think I go after it.
Nah, maybe, but too late now. I'm getting account siphoned. Great. I think this is the crucial point in the game that really kind of made the outcome.
Yeah, because you were coming back. You had gotten the 4 points now, so
Right.
we're even. There's no huge advantage here. In fact, you have an advantage because of sleepers. One more 3-2 guarantees you the game. So for me, this is crunch mode. I know that I have to destroy everything.
Right. So let's go back and kind of think. So instead of installing that piece of ice there, let's say I score the sleepers.
Right.
I don't know, just thinking off the top of my head. So even if you were to go pull another 3-2 or 4-2 for that matter, I can at least maybe start clicking for sleeper stuff.
Right.
And clicking for sleeper stuff, I don't know, getting money here and there. It's just kind of an account siphon rent that in there. limited my ability to even do that. I can't even score a sleeper.
Right. Right.
Now I can't do that up hand. I need to money up right now, and I think that's what happens this next turn. I pretty much draw game 2 or game 3. Game 2 and install. Okay, so that's not
So at this point now I know that you don't have enough money to res, and I know that I can pretty much get into R&D.
But you only got Fem. That's it's gutsy.
Yeah, I only have Fim, but the thing is, Fim has got the counter on the one piece of ice that's there, and you probably can't res the next one.
Right, which
so
I don't.
I look at that and I see it, and I go, oh well, that card's not going to help.
Right.
That's not going to help me.
Yeah. And then same situation for HQ. Probably can't res it. I mean, unless it's the pipeline. That never mind. I was gonna say
the torch.
No, next bronze. Or sorry, pipeline. What's wrong with me? Torch. Yeah. Next bronze would have helped me out a lot there. But now it doesn't matter.
Right. So at this point, I contemplate trying to rescavenge.
Rescavenge.
I mean, sorry, scavenge the Fim counter on something else.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Because the torch now that the Fim and torch route.
Right, you can take care of it, and you got enough money.
Right.
So the other two sounds good. And I'm in the money again.
You're back to having cash.
Oh no! Tell me there's not another account siphon.
Well, now here I think I think at this point I do the math and I think, oh well, he's got to have 6 to score something out of hand. I think you have 5, maybe. No,
I have enough.
No, you haven't. You do
7.
have enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apologies for putting it back there. Usually I put it on the top left. It's a habit. Playing when not on the camera, I put it on my ID.
It's okay.
In neat stacks though, not messy. And I throw away something. I think I throw away an APD. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I did.
Wow.
Because honestly, this deck, I'm not trying to score something old-fashioned way behind a safe remote, because there's nothing safe.
Right.
Especially now with you having all the money in the world and 2 really good breakers out, nothing safe.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna put an APD back there.
It makes sense.
So now you're gonna index again.
Yep.
For
indexing.
the third
indexing.
time.
I mean, think about that amount of control. I mean, they normally say that 17 accesses can win you the game. So effectively, effectively what that is, that's 15 accesses that I compress to where they're basically on my terms, right?
Yeah.
Like it would take me. Normally, I have to access them each individually, possibly, or with 2 at a time.
Yeah.
But in this case, I bring them to the top, and now it changes the whole game.
I guess. Well, I mean, you're still debating, so I guess you could have just said that's game, right? I mean, maybe. But I don't know. Let's see.
I'm trying to do the math to determine if it's possible for me to get in and take whatever's there.
Right, with the amount of money that you have on the board.
Because I don't want to get screwed. Because, even if you res that, like, that's cost me money.
So I res that. I'm gonna at least make you pay. Make you pay 2.
Right.
For this ABT, and it hurts. Hurts real bad.
And then I stim hack in.
See, I did not account for the stim hack, and that, I mean, there's not a damn thing you do about that.
Wow,
that's happening.
Wow, yeah.
So I've got all that stuff there. It's pretty good stuff.
Oh wow, yeah, 2 botics,
but not enough money to do it.
Yeah.
I can't do a Sansan. I can't do much. What was coming after that? Anything? No.
The cards from your deck or mine?
From the rest of the indexing. Do you remember?
I don't know. Maybe you flip here. I think you flip a few so we can see. So
maybe
it was sleepers. Yeah, it was pretty rough. It was sleepers, Mother Goddess, and some other stuff.
Yeah. So we're gonna turn up the volume here a little bit. Maybe hear the conversation that we had at the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything to go fetch? Nope.
Huh.
Anything coming up to go fetch?
Huh. Right. Now, pretty much my whole play revolved around making sure that I could get into R&D for the sake of the indexing. So that's why when I used the scavenge on Fim, I wanted to make sure that it just was because I saw this when I indexed before. I wanted to make sure I was saving it through. Yep. Now I did actually notice that a scavenge was the second card that I off the top of my deck.
Yeah.
So knowing that Enigma was there on R&D, I did have the option, I guess later, to scavenge the FIM counter, and now that I know that's a code gate, put it on the next silver.
Yeah.
But now I would have been drawing up to do that.
Yeah.
That would not have been something that I just saw automatically or anything like that.
Right. But man, so the point that I just try to make, like, I'm not gonna try and score behind something. You're not gonna go find. I mean, you could have scavenged out the fem counter and put it behind stuff.
Right.
But I mean, hindsight, really well played game there. Not much I can do, honestly.
Right. I mean, I think that there's that whole game is a testament to that power of indexing, because there really isn't a lot of things you can do besides try to use Jackson.
Right.
And if they're careful players, they go for the Jackson before they ever index, before they even consider that.
Right. I guess so. When you look at Shaper, you're like, Shaper indexing is like Shaper's account siphon, pretty much. So you're gonna cover R&D, but now account siphons in everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you can't just leave HQ vulnerable like that.
Exactly.
So and the thing about my deck at that time in particular is that it's not like you're neglecting it. You're still icing them up pretty well.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, just when the runner is got all the utility to go fetch, you got all the money in the world, and you have some pretty darn good breakers. Guess what? I don't care what corp you are. That's still rough.
Yep. It really is. I mean, it can change. Indexing has the power to completely swing games, especially when you look at decks like, because we've all had those games where somebody Maker's Eyes and, it's 3 agendas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but then again, that's less common. Well, It's more common when you can look at the top 5 and put 2 agenda cards back on top of the deck immediately, and just go for them. At that point, it's a winning game, because agendas aren't coming. If you're playing a card like Magnum Opus, you're playing Katie Jones, you just gain econ, you gain more econ. All right, there's new cards. Go check it out again. Yeah.
And then on the flip-flop, as a testimony to the variance of even the best decks out there. So you index or you Maker's Eye, and you see in this case you had 2 very, 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 very good indexings.
Mm-hmm.
I played a lot of games with you, and I've seen a lot of games being played where indexing pulls up nothing.
True.
Nothing.
Yep.
I guess it just depends on what deck you're playing against. Their agenda density. This one's pretty standard.
Yeah.
It's not like a super high or not a super low agenda density, and where you're more likely to not see very much. But and on top of that, you also have to put the well timing of the indexing. You can't just say, "Oh, I drew an indexing. Well, let's play it. Let's go."
Right. No. Yeah. It's definitely a card you definitely spend turns or a turn around playing, and it's meant to be a card that may actually end up closing out the game.
Yeah.
That's every time I've played with it, that's the purpose. It almost closes out the game by itself.
Right. So being the good buds we are, game's not over. I mean, we got the game. We got both games over in 35 minutes. We're playing another one.
Yes.
Did not turn out the same way at all.
Nope. Nope.
Just a testament to what just, I mean, this happens in this game. You have, and it's not necessarily that maybe I had a bad card draw, and in the same game with you in the first game, it's not that you had bad card draws at all or even played poorly. It just, what are your advantages towards mine? Money wise, card draw wise, what are you seeing? What are you not seeing?
The game has variance, and I think that a lot of people look at certain matchups and they go, "Oh, well, this is awesome versus that matchup," or "This is awesome versus that matchup," and something that's really easy to forget is how bad or how good good variance can really work. I mean, change things. I mean, you literally could be behind that 8-ball, and you are certain you're like, "Oh man, it's NBN." They got an Astro counter. They're at 6 points. Like, if they get that breaking news, this game is over.
Yeah.
You let work their hand. There's nothing. Then you look at R&D. You look at 2 cards from R&D interface. Nothing. If you can stay ahead of that, I mean, you could actually catch up, score all the points immediately.
Yeah.
Before they even have a chance to get that last 7. I mean, that's what happens sometimes. This game is like that.
Right. I mean, like, it's how it is. You play to the best ability. You play with what you got.
Exactly.
Sometimes when you're at the peak of both of those, it's not in it for you. It's not in the cards on the other side for you. So
Right.
you take into account not only what you have, but what they got as well.
That's true.
So, but yeah, we appreciate you guys coming in and watching the game and enjoying our commentary. And until next time, have a good one.
Thanks, guys.